for the Middle East region. And then I moved out to Kuwait Oil Company, the National Oil Company of Kuwait. I lived in Kuwait for 15 years, and now I relocated in Houston. And here I have been for 2 years with my own consulting firm, Retreat Consulting. And I am the chair of the SEG Sustainability Committee and the vice chair of the SEG Foundation. That is the organization that brings and funds these flagship programs for SEG that you probably are aware of, Scholarship for Students, Geosciences Without Borders, and Evolve. So I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I visited Baku in 2018, I think. So I am very aware of your history and the wonderful views of your city over there. Thank you.
If I may add something that I think should be interesting for you in Azerbaijan is that Maria, again, was raised in Venezuela. I am originally Swedish, and I think it's important for all of you to understand that you can make a difference in a group like SEG, no matter where you come from. And so I want you to take that to heart, and hopefully you will see us as role models when it comes to working in organizations like SEG. Thank you.
Thank you so much for introduction. So guys, if you let us, we can introduce ourselves as well. So I am Javid, the third year petroleum engineering student from Azerbaijan State Oil and Industry University. The current president of ASOIU student chapter. Petroleum engineering, but I wanted to think I'm going to apply for master degree for Texas University. So that's it about myself. So maybe Milana, you would like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Milana Shaghbazova. I am third year petroleum engineering student at ASOIU, and also I am working as a graphic designer here. I think I have a little bit problem with my internet connection, so for that reason I will close my camera if it's not a problem. Yes, I am working as a graphic designer at SEG, and I also petroleum engineering student, but I am interested in geoscience, geology, and yes, that's it from my side.
Sunray.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be in this meeting. I'm Nuray Mamadzada. I'm third year geophysical engineering student at French Azerbaijan University. I'm also one of the members of SEG ASOIU student chapter. So nice to meet you.
Welcome, Nuray.
Thank you.
So guys, anyone else? Maybe changes?
Hello, nice to see you here. My name is Chiz, and I'm actually a fresh volunteer here in SEG ASOIU, and I'm also majoring in petroleum engineering in Azerbaijan State Oil and Industry University. And good to be here. Nice to meet you.
Excellent, Chingiz.
So myself.
Hello, Yi. I am Ashita Jiva, content manager at SEG. Despite the fact that my specialty is petroleum engineering, I am really interested in SEG and happy to use such opportunities to see professionals like you. Thank you.
Thank you. Have you joined the SEG community on Slack?
Yes, of course.
Okay, excellent. We are there. We can chat over there.
Actually, these guys are the first, I will say the first members of SEG Slack community. we were in Slack, and there was actually 100 people when we joined. They need to start to increase, and
Yes.
we're going to promote SEG Slack community in Azerbaijan as well. So,
All right.
Excellent.
So guys, anyone else would like to introduce themselves? Yes, yes. Okay.
Hello, I am Amin. And it's hello everyone. Myself, Vicky Kumar. I am from India and petroleum engineering. I also joined SEG student sector, and I got some with a student sector from LinkedIn, and then I joined and explored myself as a petroleum engineer and a
Welcome, Vito.
thank you. Miss.
So I think that's it. We can start our presentation. So, yes.
Are you looking at the slide?
Yes.
Yes,
All
yes.
righty. So Anna, if you want to start.
Well, yes. Good morning again. I am here, Anna Shaughnessy, with Maria-Angela Capello, and we're going to talk to you about a project that we have been working on for a couple of years now. It's called Geoscience in Action, Advancing Sustainable Development. We are delighted to talk about this topic with you. We find that it's especially important for you, the younger generation, to really get involved and understand what this is all about. So Maria, I'm going to give it over to you.
Yes. Well, likewise, when we look around, we see absolutely. I am sure that you agree with me that we are in a very rapid changing world. As we see around us, we notice that there is an incremental acceleration of the consequences of climate change and resulting threats to health and social justice. We are concerned, right, about the environmental impact that human activity has on everything we do. And wow, when we try to understand how we can collaborate and can contribute to solutions, to find solutions, we are not necessarily certain if we are in the right path. So there is a global framework for remediating and changing what we have ahead of us. And that is the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, that for short in this presentation and everywhere else we're going to call SDGs. The SDGs are 17 goals that we will discuss in detail later, but they shape this 2030 agenda for sustainable development, environmental protection, social inclusion, and economic growth at a global scale. Oh, so if there are solutions, our next question is, well, then what is, the geoscience value proposition? Because at the end of the day, we want to know how can we apply our profession, our discipline, our skills to the search for these solutions. Well, I am absolutely convinced, and I hope that you also are becoming more and more confident that it is, a privilege to be a geoscientist. May that be a geophysicist, a geochemist, a geologist, because we have like an holistic understanding of the planet Earth. We can study, the processes and the workflows of our planet from different perspectives. May those be physical, chemical, dynamic approach to the study of the processes on Earth. But the thing is that our ability to understand this fourth dimension of the planet that is related to time and is related to a global scale, right? It helps us to strengthen our perspectives, to enhance our point of view about, the planet. If you agree with me, what other people call like the geologic time, right? And this idea of dinosaurs and fossils that our colleagues in other sciences, like, for example, biology or maybe political science, admin, mathematics, they don't have this vision of the Earth time, of the time scale, or the processes that shape our planet, like our plate tectonics, or the migration of hydrocarbons of water underneath the surface. The faults, what does it mean an outcrop from the Cretaceous in front of us? So geologists and geophysicists, all geoscientists, by formation, we have a different perspective and a privileged point of view about the planet. So, Anna, I will pass it on to you.
Thank you, Maria. So Maria has already introduced the 17 SDGs. And if you're not familiar with them, I do hope that after this meeting, you look them up and really learn more about them. But these 17 SDGs were approved by all UN members in 2015. And again, it's a global agenda to overcome poverty and promoting peace and prosperity. So in about 3 years or so ago, Maria Angela had the brilliant idea in how can we relate geophysics to these goals that everyone can understand. And we basically started to look at what types of geophysical and geophysicists use different techniques to support these goals. And Maria invited myself and a young geoscientist, Emer Caslin, to start to look at how can we translate or map geophysics to all these SDGs. And it became an article in the Leading Edge, which is SEG's monthly journal. And thanks to SEG, we actually got this published as an open source, which means that anyone can read it. And if you haven't read it already, you can see the where to go and get it on this slide. And if you can't copy it very quickly, I'm sure Javed can send it to you. So please take a look at this. This was the beginning to start communicating with the rest of geoscientists as well as engineers on what geophysics can do. Maria? And so when this came out, again in January 2021, Maria and Emer and I were absolutely incredulous to the response of this article. It we were interviewed, especially Maria, of course, as a lead author. There were articles written about it. There were interviews, presentations. This paper has now been translated into Spanish, Serbian, and Swahili by volunteers. And it actually is in the top 5% of all research papers output scored by Atometric for the Leading Edge. It was an overwhelming response. Schools like Oklahoma State University embraced the logo, if you will. And right now there is a professor in Australia, in Adelaide, who's basing a course on this paper. So it was just a wonderful, wonderful response for us, and especially to some of the young people. So let me go to the next slide, please. And so there are people like yourselves that called us, that wrote to us, that asked if they could hear more about this, and started to share some of the projects they started working on to in essence, bring geophysics forward and show the world what geophysics can do. Maria, over to you. You're on mute.
This is 101, right? So the natural step came after that, kind of viral spreading of the geophysical sustainability atlas, because I received several calls from colleagues from AAPG and SCG and other organizations, convincing and propelling me to expand what was done for geophysics to all geosciences, with the purpose of raising the awareness about the pivotal role of geoscience to all the practitioners and society at large, to elevate the understanding of how all geoscience advance the 17 SDGs by means of showcasing practical examples and projects, share the enthusiasm about geosciences for career prospects into the future, and build a new platform of communication about the value of geoscience. So we put together a team that, of course, started with Anna Shaughnessy here with me and Imer Kaslin, because we were the author of the Geophysical Sustainability Atlas. But we expanded the team to try to cover the world with representation from Australia, India, UK, Latin America, and Namibia, Jordan, and other countries that we gladly collaborated for about 2 years in order to produce an expansion of what was done. How we did it? Well, what we did is that we started by, after creating the team and understanding how we wanted to work, we decided that instead of repeating what was already done for the Geophysical Sustainability Atlas, this time we were going to show practical examples, projects, initiatives with which all kinds of geosciences would advance the SDGs. And as we understood that somehow mapping to each one of the 17 SDGs can be overwhelming, this time we wanted to map what geoscientists do into 3 dimensions. And these dimensions are the usual ones used by the United Nations when addressing sustainable development. These 3 dimensions are people, planet, and prosperity. So we went ahead, and all these beautiful flyers that you see here on the screen were the posts that we created in order to ask for examples openly on social media. We use LinkedIn, we use Instagram, we use Facebook, we use Twitter, and we received an overwhelming response with more than 67 examples from different association companies, individuals that wanted to be in this new report. So we selected 6 examples per dimension for a total of 18 examples. And what we offer now is a compilation of practical examples with most geodisciplines considered. It is a special motive of pride for all of us to share with you that almost immediately we got the endorsement of the UNESCO for our report. And here it is. The 18 examples that we capture convey this great diversity of initiatives with which geoscientists are engaged across all the sustainability spectrum and every one of these SDGs that you are looking in front of you. So this now is what we call the clock of sustainability for geoscience. And the report name is Geoscience in Action, because we are actually activating geoscience for advancing sustainability. The examples include things as different and diverse as water resource management, reducing natural hazard risks, for example, earthquakes, or volcanoes, to tell you two examples, accelerating decarbonization and preserving our geoheritage. Of course, gender disparity, discrimination in geosciences as well. So if you think about what we are doing with Geoscience in Action is creating a new narrative that tells you, right, to you as a student and to anyone from society at large, that for every SDG, there is a geoscientist that can do something to advance it. So let me now give you more granularity about what is that we did. And what we did at these 3 dimensions. And this is a distribution of the examples in each of our dimensions. And the report looks like this. It is like a 100 pages book or booklet that showcases all these 18 examples in these 3 dimensions. So let me show you a little bit more about our examples. And let's start with people. We always have to start with people, don't we? And by now, you probably are aware that SDG 1 is zero poverty or no poverty on Earth. What can be more inspirational than that? And for that SDG, we selected one example that has to deal with natural disasters. And we take as one example, the Global Earthquake Hazard and Risk Model, GEM. And this, when you reduce the vulnerability of communities to natural disasters, you help them coming out from poverty. And what are the skills, the knowledge that you need in order to advance this particular example? Well, in that particular example, it was structural geology, seismology, remote sensing, GIS, seismic hazard modeling as well. So another example of the dimension people, okay, will be the issues of water, for example, in New Delhi, and how, the study of the subsurface was used in order to assess the availability of underground water. And this is a photo of an everyday issue that affects the population in India. And if we were, to exemplify this example for what it is for clean water and sanitation, which is SDG number 6. So this will be what we call the clock of the dimension. And for people, the main SDGs that are related to the people dimension are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 17. In less level, SDGs 8, 10, 11, and 16. So this is the clock of people. Why a clock? Well, we geoscientists advance these SDGs, and we need to do it timely, quickly, fastly, very swiftly, because time is ticking. For Dimension Planet, other SDGs are important. SDG 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17, which are the collaboration initiatives. And we selected 2 examples among the 6 available for this dimension for you to gain some flavor about our Geoscience in Action report. The first one is about responsible consumption. And for that, we have to protect the examples of the UNESCO Global Network of Geoparks. In particular, the Magma Geopark in Norway, that has an initiative called GeoFood, and the Zigong Geopark in China that preserves, dinosaurs' eggs and other very awesome things to showcase. SDG 13 is probably one of my favorite. It's about climate action. And for that one, we brought the example of the Northern Lights project from based in Norway, but with a global scope about CO2 sequestration. So this is the Dimension Planet. The Dimension Planet is green because we want to preserve the environment. And the Dimension Prosperity has to deal with SDGs 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 17. and in a minor degree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 12 and 16. But the most important thing is that there is a clock, right? A clock, a time for prosperity, and an urgency for geoscientists to advance actions related to the main elements of prosperity. And in this particular case, we are highlighting for you what was used for forecasting volcano activity and risks to advance sustainable cities and communities, which is SDG 11, and heritage sites preservation. We chose one of the examples about locating mass graves on the Holocaust sites in Lithuania in order to preserve what is, in this particular case, a humankind history that is relevant for every one of us in order to be prepared for the future. With this, I will pass it over to Anna.
Thank you, Maria. So I'm going to talk a little bit to you about stakeholders. And this goes to any topic, whether you're a petroleum engineer or a geoscientist, geophysicist, what have you. We are usually very, very good at talking to ourselves within our own, whether it's a geophysics community, petroleum engineering community. But at least for me as a geophysicist, I readily admit that we have not been very good at going beyond those that actually speak our language. And that is becoming increasingly important, especially around this topic we're talking about now. How can we basically advance sustainable development? So we need to go beyond speaking to those that are already in our group. We need to learn how to communicate better to different media groups, to the local communities, national governments, and in many different voices. You cannot give an equation, for example, of geophysics to local authorities. You have to learn how to change the narrative, change your language to really better communicate and understand and be able to make the audience understand what you're talking about. So that is something that I really want you all to think about. How can you start talking to your local community? If you were going to talk to students in 5th grade, how would you tell them, how would you describe what you're doing and how it is exciting and could be something that they want to do in the future? So stakeholders in geoscience needs to go way beyond those that we work for or the schools that we study at and those that speak our language. We need to really be able to communicate to the whole world, the general population, what geoscientists and engineers can do for sustainable development. And so this is also something that I think is very critical for the modern student. You need to have great strength in your core discipline, whether it's geophysics, engineering, geochemistry, what have you. You need to understand the basics. But beyond that, there are many other things that you need to take into account. So on top of the technical competencies, we talk about conceptual competencies. And sometimes it could be going out in the field. I think Javed said that you were trying to organize a field camp. It's an excellent opportunity to learn how to actually go about collecting, whether it's geophysics or engineering data. You learn a lot about teamwork. You also learn how difficult it can be to perform experiments. If it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's blazing hot, you name it. You learn so much by being out in the field. You also have to think about, learn to think in not just 3D, but 4D. Maria also already talked about time. It's very, very important. And I think some of the topics that all of you need to be familiar with is artificial intelligence, for example, and machine learning. These are topics that teach you, allows you to bring lots of different data sets together to really get a more holistic solution than what one data set tells you, for example. But it doesn't end there. There are also a number of social competencies that you need to start thinking about. And this goes right in hand with the stakeholders. How do you communicate with other individuals if you have a multidisciplinary team, for example? How can you best negotiate what needs to be done? How can you sell your idea? You also need to help others and by mentoring, and for that matter, find the mentor to help you to move forward in your career. But there are so many things that you need to think about. They're not just soft skills, but important skills to communicate your message going forward. Thank you, Maria. Next to you. You're on mute.
Yes, I was unmuting myself to tell you that Geoscience in Action is already online, and you can register, you can Google Geoscience in Action and you will find it. This is the website in any case, and you can register yourself to receive a copy when it is ready. That is going to be ready digitally by the end of March. What we want to do is to make sure that you gain access to see how geoscientists advance the 3 dimensions of people, planet, and prosperity. And with this way, you will have the opportunity to read the whole report. We are very proud to have been endorsed by all these associations and organizations. You will see here, we have universities, we have professional associations, and we also have volunteer-based groups, okay? So from the university in France to the Oklahoma State University in the United States, we also have International Women in Mining and Geo-Latinas, as well as other communities of people that have given us their support, endorsement, and in some cases, also their finances. So we want to thank you for your attention. We hope that if there is one idea that you will take back to your studies, back home, back to your respective workplaces, university, classrooms, and your family, is that we geoscientists are awesome. We are fantastic, and we have the ability, the perspective, the skills, the vision, and the knowledge to advance sustainability for the 3 dimensions, for people, for planet, and for prosperity, and in all the SDGs. Anna?
Yes, and to build on what Maria just said, this product, Geoscience in Action, that is a little over 100 pages long, is just about to be available. You can, like Maria said, go to that link and ask for it to be sent to you once it's available. We expect it to be sometime later this month, and it's free. It's a PDF that you can read, download, you can share. It's open source. We encourage you to potentially use it in your discussions with your fellow SEG student chapters members, for example, or take materials from there and use it in schools. Talk to others about it. Show your mom and dad or your teachers. So we'd like for you to help us move this forward, advance it. Maybe you can talk about it in the SCG community on Slack. We'd really like for this to go even more viral than the Geophysical Sustainability Atlas. So again, thank you for your attention. We appreciate being invited to talk to you. And we now welcome some questions if you have any. Thank you.
So thank you so much for a great presentation. It was very useful for all of us. And I think we have some questions from message board from the others who joined. Maybe Bito is the fresh year in his university. Maybe he would have some questions to you regarding geoscience, geophysicists. So Bito, do you have any questions? Okay, guys, do you have any questions?
I don't.
I also don't have questions.
Okay,
Any
but I have
thoughts? If there aren't any questions, did this make you think, or did it somehow excite you, or was it just another sort of lecture, if you will? Javed, what do you say?
actually, it was this question for me, or?
Yeah.
Okay, actually, this was a great presentation for me because in my reports, in my articles, I am going to use the SDGs, but I don't know which of them is more suitable for geoscience, geophysics. So that's why I can use your presentation in order to add something to my articles, to my reports. So it's great for me because I found the resource which will be useful for me, actually, for all of us. So for now, actually, when we are doing the proposal for the field camps, for the outreach, we have to use some SDGs. So that's why we couldn't find how to make relation between geoscience and SDG. And I think thanks to your presentation, we can make some relations, and all of us will get benefit from this presentation, from this PDF.
So thank you, Javed. The SDG 7 is clean and affordable energy, which I think would relate very much to you and your university, since you are focused on oil and the industry. We are going to need oil and gas for a long time, but you have an opportunity to help ensure that we are exploring and developing for oil and gas in the best way possible. We do need energy. There's not energy equity in the world. And actually, in the last year, we actually have seen a lot of energy insecurity. But so you will continue, I'm sure, to work in oil and gas, but you will also be able to think about it in a different way to make sure that we all really do our part for a sustainable world.
Yes, exactly. So actually, I don't want to continue in oil and gas industry. I wanted to change my specialty in the geoscience, geophysics, thanks to SCG. And so I have a question related to artificial intelligence. Currently, I am working as artificial intelligence and robotics instructor. So I have knowledge in AI, but I don't know how to use it in geoscience, geophysics. What kind of relations we can make between two of the different subjects?
Well, again, I'm not an expert on artificial intelligence, partly because of my age. It really is something that has taken off in the last maybe 10 years or something like that. But I would encourage you actually to just potentially take there are courses online in addition to what you have available maybe at your university. There's a program called EDX, ED as in David X, that is basically has free online courses from schools such as MIT, Stanford, Cambridge University in London. I don't know all the ones in your part of the world, but excellent courses that you can take. There are also, of course, a lot of articles. I would encourage you to search the SEG library for articles that have used artificial intelligence in successful ways. Maria, what else would you like to add to that?
Well, artificial intelligence and machine learning is used extensively nowadays in several aspects of especially seismic processing and interpretation, because with artificial intelligence, you can relate what has been done in analogs, you know, sedimentary basins and geologic environments to others, and automate interpretations and predictions about evaluation of resources in the underground. One of the also applications of machine learning is the automation of acquisition on land and offshore, because it can correct automatically for topographic errors and other things as they go and acquire the data. Other elements that bring innovation to geoscience about machine learning and artificial intelligence is the opportunity to create virtual learning environments where you can practically be present with 3D realizations of an outcrop visit, for example, for a wonderful field trip where you can learn directly as if you were there, right? But remotely. I can envision that very soon we will be including also gamification of geology, in which you can impersonate a character in a virtual environment and then activate your learnings about, for example, oil and gas in that particular case, and drill wells, etc., and build your own field development strategies, and compete with other areas in this virtual environment where there are fake countries and with different resources that you have to find, and not damaging the environment because you will be penalized, or if not producing CO2, because then you will be taxed and you will lose your investment monies to produce more by mining or by solar or by oil and gas. So I think that we are entering in an exciting and thrilling era for learning, for collaboration, and for the utilization of disruptive technologies that will help us to hopefully be at the front rows of decision making. Because who you will ask about environmental laws if not a geoscientist that is so aware that, for example, did you know that if you live on a granite based floor or bedrock, you are exposed to radon and radioactivity, and that is very harmful for your health? Things like that are useful when planning cities, when selecting policies for urbanization of available areas and new areas, okay? And I am very proud of being a geoscientist. I hope you are as well, right? Because these will also give you the tools to have a new narrative in geoscience. So we want you to use them and to feel absolutely proud of what we do as geoscientists. Remember, you are awesome. Geoscientists are fantastic.
You are right. So do you guys, do you have any questions? Because I have so many questions, but I wanted to give you a chance to ask your questions. Okay, then I will ask my questions. Actually, we applied for outreach programs, which given by SCG Foundation. It was about SCIX, like to make awareness about earthquakes for the students, for the high school students. So I asked about it to Chen Tubman, what kind of activities we can make for students. And I also asked for so many others, like from the SCG, but I wanted to get your feedbacks, what kind of activities we can make to make awareness about earthquakes. Like, you know, in the actually currently the Turkey is suffering from the earthquakes, and this is the nearest country for us, and we wanted to make some impact on it, like to make it more understandable in our country, like to make some how can I say, so you got my point, what I mean.
So you want to go out to the schools and
Yes.
talk about earthquakes, etc. Well, if I may start, and then I'll give it to Maria. I don't have any specific examples myself, and I wouldn't say that SCG is the best organization for providing materials for younger students. We collaborate a lot with the American Geoscience Institute, AGI, and actually as an SCG member, you're automatically a member of AGI. They have a lot of products for educational materials, whether it's, and I'm not sure how many they have specifically for earthquakes, but they have a lot of educational materials that they provide to science teachers or to just teachers in lower grades to inform their students and get them excited about geology, etc. In the US that I'm most familiar with, we don't introduce geology or geophysics. We sometimes have geography, etc. in high school, but not before that. But Maria, do you have any specific guidance as far as educational materials for earthquakes?
We do not have educational material for earthquakes. Nevertheless, there are associations that do have some procedures to follow. In case of earthquakes, I commit myself to send Javid some links about it. I will note it down as a homework for me so that he can then share. But I would like also to highlight that if you go to the USGS website, and I am going to put that into the chat. Let me see if I can find here the chat. Okay. They do have a variety of resources related to earthquakes, including the possibility of accessing a real-time monitoring of global earthquakes, which is very useful.
So thanks a lot. So guys, do you have questions? I think that's it. So thank you again for a great presentation, great day. Like, I asked my questions, you answered my questions, so I get what I wanted from you. So the website is wrong. Yes. So I think that's it.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us and listening to us. And I certainly hope that we have made you think about some things that maybe weren't at foremost of your mind before. We are always delighted to talk to young people. You are the ones that are going to drive things forward. And we need to make sure that you understand how important it is and get excited about it and really understand what a difference you can make. Thank you. Maria?
I would like to appreciate the opportunity to speak again to people from Azerbaijan. I think that your country includes a variety of elements that need to make you proud. You have in your fields the very pioneering story of the oil and gas industry from the late 19th century. In addition to that, you have the perennial volcanoes of gas that is one of the wonders to go and visit, totally geologically driven, right? And in a way, what we really want to do is now the possibility of maintaining this collaboration with the SCG and SPE student associations, because it is thanks to your leadership that this stays alive and that we can provide you all the support you require. So thank you for the invitation, and I hope others will come along, not for us, but for any of the people that would like to talk to you, that are many, let me tell you. Thank you.
Thank you again. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, Maria. I think, guys, you can leave now.
I have
Thank you a lot.
so two
you very much.
websites, Javid, to find educational materials for earthquakes, okay? You may want to use them.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.